the Flames look to carry over their offensive dominance against the New Jersey Devils to the island this weekend against the Islanders.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today, I thought we could talk about the comeback against the New Jersey Devils and what that means for the Flames and the message it sends to the room, as well as previewing their matchup against the New York Islanders tomorrow afternoon, and of course, what's ahead this week for the Flames as they return home. Make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And let's just jump right into this because this was not what I expected. I did not expect a third period comeback from the Flames at all. I really just kind of expected them to roll over and die. Because that performance was very questionable. I think the physicality early on in the game against Hanley and Pospisil kind of, I think, threw them for a loop because, number one, no one's ever expecting that. And then for Hanley to get pulled, and then Pospisil has a long concussion history, and I don't believe he was pulled at all by spotters, but you always worry about that. What does going after a kid or any player with a long concussion history, especially one that had already considered retirement before touching the NHL, I think that says a lot more about you as a player, to be entirely honest. But wow, a 3-goal third period comeback. 4 if you count Kadri's empty netter. But that was a huge hill for them to climb. And how exciting. I mean, this is what I mean when you say you can't count the Flames out until the time has run out on the clock, because they will show you wrong. They certainly showed me wrong, because last night, like I'd mentioned, I expected them to just not I didn't expect a third period. Really, if anything, I figured the Devils were going to just come back out and continue to pummel the Flames, but I think that this is huge because the Flames have struggled scoring goals. We talked about it earlier this week multiple times about how they haven't scored more than 3 goals throughout most of the season, and it has been a battle. And just because of the personnel that they have, as well as the system that they are running in terms of how they're drawing plays and generating volume and shot quality. So I think for them to have such a big third period in itself is impressive, because we see how hard it is for them to score at any given moment. And to be able to complete all of that within 20 minutes it's good, but it's not what you want. You don't want to be playing like that all the time. I understand some teams do thrive in the sense of, okay, we have the fact that we're losing kind of pushing us and biting at us, but you should also want to play while holding a lead. I know that's a bold strategy, but one thing that was abundantly clear was that Jacob Markstrom has not changed. He was very good, I will say, up until the third period. He looked great. He was the Jacob Markstrom that the Flames knew and love. And then he just gave up the most Jacob Markstrom saves possible. And you're looking at it, and it's just like, they really got a first-round pick in Kevin Ball for him. And I was harsh on that trade. I 100% was, because I didn't necessarily think Kevin Ball was the right choice. But I have been proven slightly wrong. And I mean, ultimately, it's led to Dustin Wolf coming in and taking over, and it's been a lot of fun. Matt Coronado has played in family this entire Eastern road trip, which is really nice. And even Huska commented on how he's had like that extra confidence and this boost in his game. And I mean, I think that's normal, right? Because you're playing in front of people that you love. And not that the fans aren't special, but you want to make sure that the people that you care about that took time out of their busy schedules to travel to come see you, make sure they get their money and time's worth, and you make them proud. But huge performance from the team. I did see that Uyghur didn't skate today. Pospisil didn't skate today. I don't really blame them. I'm sure today was, a maintenance day. These players play hard. It is the tail end of the season, and they are hoping to get to the finish line and hopefully sneak into the playoffs. But the East Coast road trip wraps up tomorrow against the New York Islanders, who are currently 4th in the Metro Division and have been in a very strange situation, like the Flames, in terms of their players and just underperforming. And we will talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Flames.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential. But not anymore, thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz, and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps, and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. Last time the Flames were on Long Island, Uyghur had a hat trick. I was at the game, and I had the most delicious chicken wings I've ever had in my life. If you have not been to UBS Arena, I absolutely recommend going there. And I'm not one to ever recommend anything in the state of New York. Just kidding. For those of you who may be new here, I live in upstate New York. But it was a huge game for the Flames. They obviously had Mackenzie Weegar's hat trick, and then it was a 5-2 victory. I think that, so this game was actually like right before the trade deadline. This was the game or the road trip where Jacob Markstrom thought he was going to be traded. Didn't happen. And, everyone kind of had all eyes on this road trip because it was right before the deadline. Flames were selling. What was going to be done? And obviously, nothing really happened in those regards. But the Islanders have been in a like circling the drain sort of situation. They find themselves like they were going to the Eastern Conference Finals, a like when the Hurricanes were not in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was the Islanders. And it was very like I was convinced this team was going to get there, at least get to the Stanley Cup final. But it never happened. They've had players come and go and coaching changes, and they finally kind of got their goaltending figured out. But injuries have just hit this team hard and hard in time again. Like there's no other way around. And this year hasn't been much different. Anthony Duclair was injured early on in the year, and it was kind of uncertain how long it was going to be. Very similar to the Connor Zary situation. And then I just happened to look up some information before this, and I saw that Matt Barzal is out for at least 6 weeks, so likely through the end of the season, because of a knee injury. And I guess I'm just shocked that this team is still holding their own. But I mean, the Metro division is very competitive as it is. So, I mean, it is what it is. Kyle Palmieri has really found himself a good home on Long Island as well. I think that while his name is still circulating in trade rumors, I feel like it's less than it was in years prior. So the two scoring leaders are Bo Horvat and Anders Lee, both with 47, 23 and 25 goals apiece, respectfully. I mean, the last 5 games, Jonathan Huberdeau has had 6 points, and Noah Dobson, who is a defenseman, has had 5. It's kind of impressive. I mean, just the fact that Jonathan Huberdeau has had consistent offense this year really makes me feel more confident in this team's overall performance. And then Huberdeau has had 4 goals compared to Bo Horvat's 3 over the last 5. And Tony DeAngelo has had 4 assists, and Uyghur has had 5. I would actually love to see Tony DeAngelo score an own goal against the Flames. I don't know. He's interesting to say the least, but I guess I'm just shocked at the state of the Islanders, because I feel like they had like a really good thing going, and then they got old and then kind of crumbled. But I don't know. Like they're obviously missing something. I feel like this year has been a lot better for them than last year. There are still moments where I think Lou Lamoriello should just relinquish control. I don't necessarily think he has the best intentions, or I don't think he necessarily knows what is going on sometimes when it comes to roster construction and expectations. But I will say congratulations to Mike Riley for coming back. He played recently his first game back after having heart surgery. That's terrifying. Great to see him back on the ice, and I hope, I wish him well. I do think that the Flames are going to have a fun goaltending matchup. It'll likely be Sorokin against Wolf. Sorokin is 27, 20, and 5 with a 908 save percentage and 2.72 goals against average. I mean, honestly, I don't think it'll necessarily be a goalie battle. I just think it's going to be like a struggle for offense sort of situation more than anything. That stinks, I know. But let's take a look at the Flames points leaders as they roll through the state of New York. Let's see. So Jonathan Huberdeau is leading the team with 26 goals and 52 points. And Kadri is right behind him with 25 goals and 26 points. Both of those players are such pillars for this organization and for this team. And I think it's pretty impressive, the fact that Huberdeau, this is the Huberdeau you kind of hope and expect you're getting. And you'd like more, honestly, at $10.5 million a year. But the fact that his scoring has been consistent, he has been contributing throughout all 68 games. I'll take it. I'm sorry if it seems like the bare minimum, but you don't expect this from Huberdeau based on his prior performances. So he has met and kind of exceeded those expectations. It's also looking at the hits in comparison to some of these players. Blake Coleman has thrown 144, and Martin Pospisil leads the team with 252 hits. That is absurd. And then let's see. For blocks, Blake Coleman leads the team with 54. Huberdeau is right behind him with 53. I guess I'm just shocked. Okay, that was just out of forwards. That's why okay. For defensemen, Anderson has 164 and Weegar has 157. So, I mean, this team does play well defensively when they want to. But if I had to say who to keep an eye out for tomorrow, it's obviously going to be Dustin Wolf. I'd also keep an eye on Joel Hanley, just to see how he's doing after last game, as well as Martin Pospisil. I'm sure they're fine, but it's just something to keep an eye on and take into consideration when watching the game. But coming up next, we're going to wrap up the show with some news that is on my radar here on Locked On Flames. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you just need that little boost of power, or little boost to power you through. Whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I am someone that needs all the energy I can get. I need a helping hand, especially when the Flames are going back to Alberta, and I'm still catching up on sleep from daylight savings, and they're 2 hours behind. I don't know what time zone my body's in, and especially with the end of the month coming up and working in sales, I need all that gas in my tank. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And after the Flames wrap it up in New York tomorrow afternoon or evening, they will be heading back home for 2 home games. 2 of the last 7 home games. Isn't that crazy? I feel like we were just breaking down the schedule. I don't know where this season went. It's like we blinked and it's just basically gone. But they will go home and play against Seattle first. And, all of these games matter. All of them matter. And especially, divisional games still matter too, of course. And with the Kraken so far out of the wild card spot, like I get it. But I still think that the Flames they have to find it within themselves to get up. And the Kraken are a confusing team too because they've seen a lot of regression. I think one of their worst, like franchise worst moves was moving on from Ryan Donato. I understand this franchise has not been around for long. But like he really felt like a pillar of leadership in the Kraken organization and has been great for Chicago. So I guess I'm just shocked that they didn't keep him, especially with how much offense he brings to the team. But I feel like they're missing stars. They're missing that extra oomph. I think that Shane Wright kind of developing at a slower speed than possibly anticipated has kind of held them back a little bit, but Flames got some players that could maybe go to Seattle in the offseason. And I was looking at the standings because ultimately the Flames are looking for that second wild card spot. There's no way that they catch Minnesota. Minnesota has 83 points. The Flames have 75. I don't think that is something that's going to happen. But I did want to throw up the screen here so y'all can see. Looking at the wild card spots, right? So Calgary has 2 games in hand on St. Louis. They are 2 points behind and out of that wild card spot. I think that it is very possible that the Flames catch them. I think that St. Louis is just a very strange team. I feel like they come and go in waves and they never really latch onto it. Like it feels like 2019 was like pure luck for them and it hasn't really been the same since. And obviously like teams change, whatever. But I do have faith that it's going to come down to game 82 for the Flames. I think that Vancouver and St. Louis are going to kind of go back and forth until the very end, and the Flames will be included in there because they have at least a game in hand on both of these teams. So I have to wonder what is going to happen. What are the Flames going to do to push themselves over the edge and get into the playoffs? Or, are the silly, costly mistakes from even early in the season going to harm them? Is it going to come back and kind of bite them in the butt? And then they do host the Stars as well. The Stars are, to me, this is a test. This is a true test. Stars are obviously a playoff team. They have incredible talent on their roster from top to bottom. And I want to see how the Flames prepare for this. I think that this is a game where obviously they're underestimated. They are not winner, like they're not being picked as the winner. This is their chance to secure 2 big points and, maybe build off of this momentum that they've been uh, building here on this little trip. I think it's very possible that just Jake Ottinger has kind of struggled, I think, with his consistency. So maybe the Flames will get lucky and sneak something past him. Or if they're playing Casey DeSmith, hopefully they run him right over and um, just score every shift. That would be ideal. But if I had to pick a game for the Flames to win, it would be the game against Seattle. I think Seattle is just, I don't want to say they've checked out because that seems kind of unfair. But I feel like they know their season's over. They're not going to spoil anyone's season. So it's just kind of coasting through to game 82. And that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and please stay safe, stay warm, stay cool, stay dry, stay hydrated. Remember to be kind. Make sure you're following this show wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And we are one day closer to me being back in Calgary. And maybe we could do a little meetup or something if you're interested. But I will see you all on Monday. Bye-bye.